Hello everyone! The book I'm reviewing today is Evading Babylon by Chad, apparently I can't talk, by Chad Daybell. And I'm assuming this is a series because the cover says Times of Turmoil, Book 1, right there, Times of Turmoil, Book 1. And of course, I will pop up a screenshot of the book from Amazon. And the reason I wanted to read this book, I'm not going to lie, is every now and again I do watch the news, and I have been following loosely the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell case. And Chad is currently her third husband, and Lori has the two missing children, and she will not produce them. So authorities have decided to jail her until she produces the kids. And there is a lot of speculation that the children are dead. I'm hoping that's not true, just reporting what is being spoken about. And a lot of people are afraid that Lori has killed them because she spoke about zombies or made mention of them turning into zombies, and she is part, apparently, of a doomsday cult. So I have been trying to get some more information on the doomsday cult, but in the meantime I thought I would read this book by Chad Daybell, and it was published in 2008 when he was still married to Tammy Daybell, who has since died, and people are questioning those circumstances because she died around the same time as Lori's ex-husband. So lots of stuff to unpack there, but I just wanted to see if the book gave any insight into the mindset, the thinking, end of the world times, to see if I could have a little bit more understanding possibly. So from the back of the book it says, in the near future, the world as we know it will suddenly change. Natural disasters will lead to economic difficulties, leaving the United States on the edge of collapse. During this time of strife, members of the LDS Church will be invited by their leaders to survive the civil unrest by gathering to holy refuges. In the midst of the turmoil, recently returned missionary Nathan Foster joins a secret team of men who helped the saints escape modern society's implosion. Nathan is expected to devote all of his time and energy to this cause, but he faces a major personal obstacle in doing so: Marie Shaw. Nathan has admired Marie since their high school days, and now she's showing genuine interest in him as well. However, more national trouble erupts, including acts of bioterrorism on U.S. soil that not only threatens to tear apart their relationship, but puts people's lives in deep peril. So that is the description on the back of the book, and we shall just dive right in to see what this book is about. The book opens with a chapter called The Turmoil Deepens, and this is kind of just a little prologue to let you know what is going on in society at the time the characters are living their best lives in this book. So it's after the Great Recession of 2008. The federal budget is piling up more than $1 trillion in debt every year. The Occupy Wall Street movement is happening, and the clash between the establishment and the so-called 99% is getting fierce. So during this time, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints were warned by their leaders for tougher times ahead, as the prophets recognized that events that had been prophesied were now coming to fruition. We then meet the story's protagonist, Nathan Foster, and he is a missionary with 16 days left until his mission ends. Nathan is attending a stake conference to hear the words of Elder Smith of the Quorum of 12 Apostles, when, towards the end of the meeting, the Spirit tells him to stop a man trying to rush into the church with some strange-looking case. Nathan's swift action saved the day because the stranger was trying to bring a bomb into the conference. Nathan was able to toss the bomb into the snow before it detonated. However, he was injured by the blast, so he is hospitalized. And when he falls asleep in the hospital, he has a strange dream. The prophet is speaking to the people, and if they accept what the prophet is saying, they went up to the third floor of the building that they were in. And if they rejected the prophet's message, they went down to the first floor, and a lot of people who are having this conversation like, are we going to follow and do what the prophet says or not? They are kind of arguing amongst themselves on the second floor. This is where we are awkwardly introduced to Marie Shaw. In the dream, Nathan sees Marie arguing with her father. She wants to go down, and her father is trying to pull her up. We then find out that the Unabomber was an excommunicated church member who wouldn't, quote, take responsibility for his actions, unquote. So remember, always apologize for your mistakes, or you too could end up to be a Unabomber. The more you know. Elder Smith tells Nathan this while he's visiting him in the hospital. We also find out, in some very clunky foreshadowing, that Nathan admits his early motivation to attend church was because of Marie Shaw, but that he hasn't seen Marie since they graduated high school. Sad clown face. Smith asks Nathan his future plans, and he says he plans to earn money for tuition by doing landscaping work, then attend UVU. Then Elder Smith offers Nathan a mysterious job and tells him he will find out later what the duties are, etc. Smith hands Nathan a business card, then just pieces on out. So, hey, thanks for, taking down that Unabomber single-handedly last night. Want a mystery job? You do? Great, here's a card. Don't have time to tell you all about it, but it's gonna be good for you. Give him a call. Deuces. So then Nathan is just alone in the hospital looking at his mystery card, wondering what this is. The book then switches over to Marie, who is driving home from college during a small break. She hears about the bombing on the radio and hopes that Nathan is okay. She remembers him because they grew up in the same ward together. To take her mind off her concern for Nathan, Marie turns up the radio while she sings along to the new smash hit, Get the Chip. I mean, what is this book going to be about? They might as well just smash it over the head with a brick. So I know you wouldn't want to miss out on the chorus of this smash hit song. So the chorus is, it's hip to get the chip. Yeah, yeah. Do it right and don't get left behind. It's hip to get the chip. I know ever since I finished reading this book, I've just been having trouble getting that catchy little tune out of my head. So the group that wrote this is called, not joking, Chippy and Friends. And it's really bad when the book even admits that that's a stupid name, because the DJ actually says this is a dumb name for a band, but a great song. So when Marie gets home, she looks up more information on the bombing and decides to go to Nathan's homecoming talk. At the same time Marie is researching the bombing, Nathan is watching a presidential broadcast from the hospital TV where the president is urging people to get a microchip implant in their hand that will have each person's personal information in it, such as ID and credit cards. Why should everyone do this? Because the chip program will boost the economy, reduce crime, and make things run more efficiently, according to the president. 2 weeks later, Nathan flies home and is greeted by his estranged father, who he hasn't seen since he cheated on his mother when Nathan was younger. His father divorced his mother and married his mistress, and Nathan has a half-sister that he has never met. But Nathan's mom died of cancer at some point while he was on his mission, so his dad wanted to reconnect. Nathan and his father stopped for gas because, let's face it, let's just, I don't know you. You cheated on mom. You married your mistress. Haven't seen you in a crap ton of years. But you know what? You want to reconnect, and I need a ride home from the airport. Yes. I think we can say yes to all of that. So they stop for gas, and that's when Nathan notices, dun dun dun, that his dad pays for gas with his hand because he got the chip. Nathan tells his dad church members have been discouraged from getting the chip. Remember that. That's going to be important later. And we find out Nathan's dad is still excommunicated from the LDS church, and his new wife and daughter are Catholic. So he's not too really concerned about having the chip or what the Mormon church thinks about that. We then move ahead to Nathan's homecoming talk given at the church, which Marie attends with her parents. Nope. Don't ask what was said. We do not get to know. And then Marie invites Nathan over to her parents' house for pie and ice cream. And Marie gives Nathan her cell phone number before she returns to college that evening. A few days later, Nathan decides to kill two birds with one stone and call the Project, that is what is written on the business card, about the job Elder Smith told him about, and then call Marie. He sets up an interview and a lunch date. Nathan knows how to get it done. When Nathan interviews for the Project, they are impressed and want to hire him. So he asks about pay and is asked in return if he knows about the law of consecration. I would have just stopped anyone talking right there. I would have said, those were words, not numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and just assume you didn't understand my question. So I'm going to ask again, how much does this job pay? But anyway, we find out that apparently this is a time where the Lord will ask the saints to consecrate everything they own to the building up of the kingdom of God, including their time, talents, and possessions. No salary, but the job covers expenses such as food and clothing. So rightfully, Nathan asks how he's supposed to pay for college, and he's told he will have to postpone school. The job will last at least a year, but probably longer. I mean, why wouldn't it go longer if you're doing free labor? That's a job your employer's not ever going to want to fire you from as long as you're willing to work for free. So Nathan asks doing what? And they say, well, blue-collar labor and security duties such as patrolling church property. And the job will most likely keep him away from family and friends from an extended period of time. So there's that benefit also. So he's told to think about it and show up at Friday at 9 a.m. if he still wants the job. Then Nathan and Marie meet up for lunch, where Nathan is apparently bothered by how short Marie's skirt is. I don't really think Nathan gets to have an opinion on that, but it's cute that he thinks he does. They return to Marie's apartment and her roommate hands her a letter. Marie has been accepted to Naples and Austin as an intern. It's one of the best public relation firms and is located in Chicago. But what will this mean for Nathan and Marie's budding romance? Don't you worry. Nathan doesn't mind exhibiting judgmental and controlling behavior, so after he leaves Marie's apartment, he drives over to her parents' house and speaks with her father about the obvious decline in her spiritual values. Both men decide that they are troubled by Marie's internship and feel that Nathan should basically try to talk her out of her dreams for the future, like any respectful boyfriend would. Nathan decides to talk to Marie when he returns to Salt Lake City to accept the job on Friday. At 9 a.m., Nathan joins other young men to learn about his new job at the Maintenance Missionary Project, the Project as it was formerly known as. And Elder Miller does an NEO, a new employee orientation of sorts, and I must admit, what I'm about to read next from the book would probably liven up any dull NEO out there. Because let's be real, most of these are not that exciting. You know, don't steal, be nice to your coworkers, all of that stuff. But in this NEO, we are told by Elder Miller that the reason for your service is summed up in this scripture. And in that day shall be heard of wars and rumors of wars, and the whole earth shall be in commotion, and men's hearts shall fail them, and they shall say that Christ delayeth his coming until the end of the earth. And the love of men shall wax cold, and iniquity shall abound. And when the times of the Gentiles is come in, a light shall break forth among them that sit in darkness, and it shall be the fullness of my gospel. But they receive it not, for they perceive not the light, and they turn their hearts from me because of the precepts of men. And in that generation shall the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And there shall be men standing in that generation that shall not pass until they see an overflowing scourge. For a desolating sickness shall cover the land. But my disciples shall stand in holy places and shall not be moved. But among the wicked men shall lift up their voices and curse God and die. So yeah, if you're currently working in HR and you've noticed that your NEO has become a little dull lately, just consider adding something about Revelations and the end of the world, people cursing God and death. And, you know, I think people will come out of that thinking, what kind of company did I sign on with? And that can be a very good thing. Keeps them on their toes. So basically, the church has prepared places of refuge for the saints to leave Babylon. The properties are scattered throughout the mountains away from civilization. Not all of the facilities have a stockpile of supplies, though. Someone in the group asks when the church members will go to these camps. And Elder Miller explains that people will receive an invitation from the First Presidency through the proper priesthood channels. No one will be forced to go to sanctuary against their will. Then we find out that the letter/invitation has been written and could possibly be sent out within the next few weeks. Because let's face it, the world is going to hell in a handbasket. Am I right? Later that same day, Nathan and Marie meet up and they both decide they really like each other. Marie is even more beautiful today because she's wearing jeans and a sweatshirt. Thus, she is all covered up. You know what's not beautiful? Looking like a hoe bag. What's beautiful? Being covered from head to toe. They talk about her internship and Nathan plays his trump card. Has Marie prayed about this internship? Maybe, just maybe, this is not God's plan for her. But Marie tells Nathan she did pray about it. She was up against some stiff competition, but she got the internship despite those obstacles, so God definitely approves. Touché, Marie. And then they decide to engage in some light kissing. Both agree to meet up on Sunday to say goodbye before Nathan starts his new job and Marie goes to Chicago. When Nathan gets home, his stepmother informs him that California had a 7.6 earthquake. Uh-oh. Sounds like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse are coming thundering down. Enter the dragon. Yes, I'm being serious. We are now introduced to the dragon, a Chinese man returning to America after many years and taking with him 4 metallic thermos-like containers that would trigger the downfall of the United States. And how did Dragon get his nickname, you might ask? Well, one of his supervisors at the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. found out his birthday had fallen in the Chinese calendar's year of the dragon. So they came up with that imaginative, creative nickname for him, Dragon. Yeah, that's good stuff right there. Have you ordered the book yet? You really should order the book. So let's not talk about the contents of the 4 containers at all. No. Just get that out of your mind. There are more important things happening in the book, like Nathan and Marie saying goodbye to each other. Nathan goes to Marie's house to say goodbye and realizes she is arguing with his parents when he comes in. What are they fighting about? Why, her taking the internship in Chicago, of course. Not only is California besieged by looters due to the massive earthquake, but Chicago is becoming so violent that businesses, a whole whopping 2 of them, are moving their headquarters out of the city. Marie's parents want her to cancel her internship, and Nathan agrees. Marie tells Nathan she's tired of hearing about 200-year-old doomsday predictions, and that if he can't support her decision, things won't work out between them. Marie tells Nathan not to call her anymore. Whoop, whoop. Go, Marie. Go with your bad self. So Nathan then goes off to work for the Maintenance Missionary Project, and after a series of tests, it's decided that he will be a van driver and his job will be taking supplies to the properties in the mountains. His test was basically answering a question of his skills, and he said he had a driver's license and he could use a forklift, so some rigorous testing there. So he's going to be a van driver, and his group of drivers is told to let their hair grow out and even look a bit scruffy so they can hide in plain sight when interacting with the non-believers. The guys are excited by letting their hair grow out and are laughing when they are admonished by Samuel Pickering, their fleet coordinator. Samuel turns on them. This isn't a laughing matter. There are people out there who want to kill you. Unless you find ways to evade them and escape their plot against us, they'll get you. Samuel's comment silenced the group. He finally said, "Sorry, I spoke that way to you, but one of our drivers was shot last week and is still in the hospital. He thinks he was targeted, so please take this seriously." Well, let's show you to your new houses. So don't ask for an explanation on how this person thought he was targeted. It's more important that we know about the apartment units that the guys are going to live in. They all have roommates. They got to get their stuff settled. We don't need to know about delivery drivers getting shot. The author wouldn't want you to worry unduly. The Saints got this. So no, you're never going to find out about that. So just let it go. Let it go from your mind. So Nathan then goes to his room on the compound and meets his new roommate, who has been delivering cans of wheat all week. And Does wheat come in a can? Hold on. Let me look something up. Well, what do you know? Wheat does, in fact, come in a can, I guess, if you want it to. Guess I'm gonna have to come out from under this rock I've been living under all these years and get out more. So, Nathan's roommate is named Chet. Chet gives Nathan a cell phone, a handgun, and 2 boxes of bullets, plus an envelope with his first assignment. Nathan starts out with day trip deliveries for his first week so he can get into the swing of things. Meanwhile, Marie flies into Chicago for her internship. She's picked up from the airport and driven to the Naples and Austin building, which has 66 floors. Everything is going swimmingly until Marie is asked to scan her chip so they can get started on her new hire paperwork. Marie isn't chipped, so her boss asks if the Mormon church forbids it. Marie tells her boss that it's discouraged. Again, remember that for later, but not forbidden. The boss, Gretchen, says she will need it for assignments as well as navigating the building because that's how you get into the locked doors, etc., etc. So Marie says she will go to a chip center and have an implant in her hand. And the building that she's in also has little mini condos for the staff. It has the mall, so she just goes down to the mall on one of the lower levels to get her chip. So in regular America, things are heating up over the national debate about same-sex marriage, and Nathan is temporarily reassigned to security as members of the first presidency were receiving death threats and the walls of the temple were being spray painted with obscene graffiti. Shit started getting real when the prophet suspended proselytizing missions and calling home all missionaries serving abroad. Re-enter the Dragon. Dragon is taking a slow route to the Americas. He took a train across China to Europe, reaching Spain. He then boarded a merchant vessel to the Bahamas, 65 miles off the coast of Florida. He had to be careful because the Americans had uncovered some data about his mission. Don't ask what, because the book never says. But I think at this point we've learned not to ask questions that might be hinting that we want detailed information, because it's not going to happen. So Dragon gets on a yacht and makes his way to Miami. He is driven to the West Palm Beach Marriott Hotel and told the others would meet him in the morning. The next morning, Dragon's companions in Bioterror show up at his hotel room. Their code names are Fire, Wind, and Rain. 2 men, one with red hair and one Hispanic, and the other bioterrorist person of this unit is a black woman. Now, I was a little disappointed here. First of all, where is Earth? And I believe Earth should be a Native American. We have all the other races covered in this group, and I feel this cast of characters was a great opportunity for diversity, and it just failed. It just fell flat. So, yeah, lots of opportunity, and we just missed it. So then Dragon opens his briefcase and hands out the canisters filled with toxin. Dragon also hands everyone a big gulp cup from 7-Eleven to disguise their cargo, even though they are each driving separately, 1 to New York, 2 to California, and Dragon is going to Utah, more specifically Salt Lake City. All are getting paid an unnamed amount, but enough to be financially set for the rest of their lives. So with the forces of darkness on the move, it's finally time for the church to send out the letter to their congregation. And it reads, in recent general conference addresses and in several Ensign magazine articles, the First Presidency and the Quorum of the 12 Apostles have given repeated warning to both the nation and to the members of the church. They have spoken of the need for spiritual and temporal preparedness in anticipation of upcoming events that will transpire if the commandments of God are ignored. These prophetic warnings have largely gone unheeded, and the Lord will soon fulfill his promises as outlined in the Doctrine and Covenants. Therefore, under the direction of the First Presidency, we issue an invitation of gathering to you. The church has prepared gathering places along the Wasatch Front where members of the church can be shielded from any turmoil that may come upon our nation. Your local leaders have been given specific instructions on where your particular stake has been assigned to gather. Nathan is now asked to be a bus driver and drive people to the shelters, but there is a new twist. Anyone who has a chip is not allowed to get on the bus and shelter with the saints. Say what? Now, this actually pisses me off because they were discouraged from getting the chip, but they were not forbidden. So these people can't get on the bus. And one of the more critically thinking workers says this doesn't seem very Christ-like. And I agree. But is told that the government is already starting to track people's movements using the chip. They can't risk having the camps discovered. Then the elder Miller says, besides, wouldn't you agree that the church has clearly warned the saints to never get the chip? No, Elder Miller. I do not agree with that. Are you smoking crack? Is that allowed? I know you can't have caffeine if you're Mormon, but I haven't heard anything about methamphetamines. So hopefully he's smoking crack, because I do not agree that the church clearly warned the saints to never get the chip. And I think that's some BS. My other point I would like to say is that people have an injection site and they know where the chip is. Elder Miller, have you ever heard of anything called a knife? They can cut the chip out. So this begs the question, how arbitrary are these rules anyway? So it's like, if Elder Steve is trying to get on the bus and they're just like, no, you wear golf pants to church on Sunday. So no, Steve, no, you don't get to shelter with the saints. I don't know. This feels a little spotty. I don't like how that's feeling. I don't. So, and I wouldn't get on the damn bus. That's just my opinion. Regardless, Nathan spends the next few days driving people to the campsites. In Chicago, Marie is preparing for bed one night, turns on the news, and sees the lead story is captioned, "Where did all the Mormons go?" The next day, her boss, Gretchen, yeah, you remember her, right? She had that detailed backstory. We knew all about her kids. That Gretchen, her parents died in the plane crash, or, never mind. Sorry, that was a different book. So anyway, Gretchen asked Marie if she's going to leave the internship and go figure out where the rest of the Mormons went. I don't know. And Marie says no. Dun, dun, dun. Enter the dragon thrice. So the dragon is currently being pulled over for speeding in Texas. After his fake license and registration come back clear, the officer makes sure to ask if he just has soda in his cup, and he is let go with a warning. The brilliant 7-Eleven Big Gulp cup disguise worked. Keeping the canister in the briefcase locked in the trunk would have worked also, but I digress. At least now we get to find out what the canister contains. Okay, sorry for the change of scenery. I keep thinking I am going to try filming with my phone, and even though I only have a few pictures on my phone, I refuse to pay every month for iCloud storage, so it just dies on me every time I'm filming. So switching over to something else. Okay, so where were we? Okay. We were talking about what is in the virus. So in 2011, Dutch scientists created a highly contagious airborne mutation of the H5N1 flu virus. In 2012, Chinese agents had stolen a sample. They were able to mutate the strain, and then they added the 1918 flu virus to the mix. They also threw in a few other deadly illnesses. Don't ask. The Chinese tested the new virus on prison inmates. The new strain became known as the black flu because it turned the infected person's skin dark and caused intense flu-like symptoms. Dragon got a volunteer job at the Energy Solutions Arena, and this is part of the plan. They're all going to get jobs somewhere where they can mass release this toxin for maximum exposure. Fire gets a job at the Moscone Center, San Francisco's largest convention complex. Wind volunteers at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, which had been turned into a shelter after the earthquake. So back in the MM company, the workers are told to remain among the people and guide them to the camps without being detected. But they had to be careful because the government was upset that the saints were missing. During a time of natural disasters, apparently nobody can go missing. Just, rules. So local cops were setting up checkpoints, and the newly formed Chip Compliance Agency would be going door to door to make sure people were microchipped. If they refused, they would go to jail. Nathan is dropped off in his ward near the Shaw's home. Mr. Shaw, we find out, is a double agent. Mr. Shaw works for the NSA data center for the chip program, but he's undercover for the church. Mr. Shaw is waiting until the last possible moment to cut his chip out. Okay. He's waiting to cut his chip out. So apparently he can get on the bus and go shelter, but not other people who got the chip. I mean, do you see what I'm saying about these arbitrary rules? So yeah, he's going to cut his chip out at the very last moment so nobody suspects him, and he's going to go shelter with the saint. Dragon then tries and fails to release his toxin in the arena. He accidentally leaves his canister behind after fleeing, so he commits suicide by train. Apparently, Dragon was running around the arena too much and his supervisor got suspicious, but wind, rain, and fire were successful, which, thank goodness, because I feel like I really developed a strong connection to wind, rain, and fire. I mean, one had red hair. And I'm so glad that, mission accomplished for them and their life goals have been successful. I'm not sure how much later this happens, but the president addresses the nation and has this to say. Unfortunately, all indications are that the survival rate for this flu is terribly low. Our scientists are laboring day and night to come up with a vaccine to combat this illness, but we are still weeks away from achieving a satisfactory result. For this reason, I'm issuing an executive order that all domestic air travel cease immediately to halt the spread of this virus. We will also begin restricting travel across state lines. This is a decision I haven't made lightly because I know the impact it will have on folks across this land. However, this is a matter of national security. A series of checkpoints will be established throughout the nation to ensure that the virus is contained. Citizens who show symptoms of the illness should be treated with compassion, but they must be isolated to halt the spread of this disease. Marie and the employees of the Naples and Austin company decide to barricade themselves in their office because none of them are sick. The world is going to heck in a handbasket, and they're going to stay safe by sheltering in place. But then someone says, what if we run out of food? There's no food anywhere. People might come and attack us. So they decide to go down individually to their apartments to each grab what food they have before they lock themselves in. But the spirit tells Marie not to go back into the office and barricade herself with the others, and then she has a psychic vision of her own violent death. So she changes her clothes, packs food, runs out of the building, and takes refuge in the Smith Museum of Stained Glass Windows. She talked the curator, who was locking up and about to leave to go check on her family. She just said, you know what, go ahead and lock me in. I'll close the door on the way out. I'll make sure it's locked. I got this. You do you, boo. Go look after your kids. And the curator's like, you know what? F this. I'm out of here. Stay in here if that's what you want. So Nathan leads one more group to sanctuary in the mountains when the spirit tells him to return to his father's house. Only his half-sister Denise is at home. He learned his dad and stepmom had gone to California to help an aunt move. The dad caught the flu and the stepmom got sick, and Denise is convinced they are both dead because they have not been returning texts, and the last text that she got was that they were both really sick and in the hospital. And I have to say, I'm really disappointed in this. I was looking forward, and I'm being serious, to Nathan and his Catholic stepmom having a discussion on moving to the hidden bunkers, with possibly some dialogue on which religion believed what, and some points on how the Catholics view Armageddon. And I was also curious to see if Nathan's family would take shelter with the Mormons. So killing off the stepmom and Nathan's dad is such a cop-out. It is such a cop-out, and almost to me feels a little bit cowardly, like we couldn't put one doctrine up against the other and have one come out ahead or make some points or give people something to think about. So thumbs down on that. Nathan takes Denise to the Shaws, tells them to take his half-sister and get the hell out of Dodge, and says he is going to find Marie. Luckily, Mr. Shaw stole a chip tracking device and hands it to Nathan. Of all the luck. So he makes it to Chicago, shoots but doesn't kill someone trying to rob him, and conveniently locates Marie a day or two after she has run out of food. So are Nathan and Marie able to rejoin the Saints? I'm not sure, because that story is in book 2, and I haven't decided if I'm going to purchase and read book 2. This is not a hard book to read, and quite honestly, what took me the longest out of all of this was just making my notes. Otherwise, I probably would have had this book read in an hour. It feels like someone much younger wrote this, maybe like an 8th grader in the Mormon Church. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I certainly haven't published a book, but I just feel like there was a lot of opportunity with this Armageddon, end of the world, sheltering in place, Mormons who are not following the rules, even though they clearly don't know what they are because there's not a consistent message about anything from church leadership. But they had a lot to work with here, and it's kind of like this happened, and then this happened, and then over here this is happening. Oh, and then Marie does this. Oh, the dragon does this. Who's the dragon? Doesn't matter. Oh, Gretchen does this. Who's Gretchen again? Marie's boss. It's just kind of, it's easy to follow. I mean, you can tell what's happening, but it doesn't exactly flow. So, I don't know. What do you think? Would you like a review of number 2? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you have any questions. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next review.